This morning I had a interesting problem. I woke up. I actually got up really early this morning. I went to bed at a reasonable time. So when I got up, I decided I had like an hour, actually almost 2 hours to do whatever I wanted. So I got a shower, had some coffee, made myself some breakfast. I was going to sit down on my computer, watch a little bit of YouTube or Netflix or Hulu or something. And I go to boot my computer up. It boots up to BIOS and then shuts off. And I'm like, okay, well, this is odd. What's going on? So, that's actually really bright. So anyway, I get it booted up, back into BIOS, and it shuts down. And then I get this boot loop error. So it would boot. It would run for like 3 seconds and shut down. Start back up, shut down. And I'm like, okay, there's something going on here. So I pulled the RAM sticks because in the past that's helped me get past the boot loop. And this is not the first time this has happened with this. So I pulled the RAM sticks, got it to finally boot into BIOS. And, I forgot the camera's down here. So anyway, I got it to finally boot into BIOS. And, make sure that's quiet. And I realized the temperature on the CPU was 91 degrees. And I'm like, that's not right. And I'm like, okay, what could this be? And the first thought was, my processor's fried. And this is giving me, and it's just overheating because it's fried, which happens. So I'm freaking out over it, and I'm like, let me look online. Let me see what kind of issues other people had with Zalman water coolers, because I have a Zalman Reserator Max 3 dual. So I was like, okay, whatever. So I started looking at the forums, and there's a common problem. People get air in the lines. And the best way to explain it is one of the comments said something along the lines of, if anybody's owned an aquarium pump or a water pump for like an aquarium, like a fountain pump, when it runs dry, it makes a really loud buzzing noise. That generally means that there's an air bubble in it. Mine was making this noise. And I'm like, oh, and he also mentioned, when it's not working properly, it's very quiet. It's, put your head next to it and it can be quiet. So anyway, so I'm like, crap, this isn't good. First of all, it's a Christmas present that I got. And that's all I need is to say to my boyfriend who bought it for me, it's a great water pump or water CPU cooler, but the problem is if I go to him and say, hey, look, I really appreciate the gift you gave me, but it's broke and I gotta send it back. That always feels weird to say, or bad to say, I should say. Anyway, so I thought, what, let me diagnose this. Make sure it's not the processor. Make sure it's the water pump. So I pull off the water pump, and I realized the thermal paste. So you could see it was an even spread of thermal paste across the processor, but the center of it on the processor was dry. The processor had gotten so hot, it dried the thermal compound. Now we're talking about, I believe it's Arctic Silver Diamond or something like that I was using. So it's not like a cheap, store-bought, $1.25, thermal paste or even stock thermal paste. This stuff is, $15, $15. So I'm freaking out. I'm like, my fucking processor's fried. Pardon my French, but my processor's fried, and I'm going to have to spend $300, $400 on a new processor. I cannot afford this right now. I need my computer, and I can't afford to spend this on that. And I'm thinking, okay, well, I have a spare processor. I have a G3258 that I can throw in there temporarily and be good. And I was like, you know what, let me try something. Now keep in mind, I have to be at work in 2 hours. And I'm like, okay, you know what, I got some time. I ate my breakfast, drank my coffee, tore out the water cooler, and I put the Intel stock cooler in. Mind you, the Intel stock cooler is actually more quiet than the Reserator Max dual water pump. That's saying something. There's something wrong there. Anyway, so I finally get it booted back up into BIOS, and guess what the temperature is? 42 degrees. Now this is Celsius, obviously. I'm going to be sending my water cooler back to Zalman. Hopefully, we're still within warranty because I got it for Christmas, and it says it has a limited 1-year warranty. So we'll see. Zalman, hopefully you stick to your guns and you are you have good customer service, because we're going to be testing this out. So this all hinges on if I'm going to buy Zalman products again. We'll see how they handle this. I'll let you know.